Okay, bank holiday Monday, little different job today. Puncture, just to add to my woes. I'm currently moving my workshop at the moment. I'm having to use my little dinky compressor, which I use for my motorbikes, because this compressor, when I carried it over, it fell over. It fell off the pallet forks and dented it, or dented the start button. So I'm just in the process of moving all my workshop over here at the moment. So it's all a bit higgledy-piggledy. Now I've taken the wheel off, as you can see. I've broken the bead, and the way I break the bead, just little bits of angle iron, stick them in here, give it a whack with a sledgehammer, thus, so you stand on the tyre and give it a good old smacking and just work your way around, and the bead comes out quite easily. So anyway, I've taken the bead, broken the bead, both sides, and going to take the tyre off now. So, tyre levers, put you over there. Tube out. I've done this tube about 6 times this winter, believe it or not. I'll put that bit of tube in there to try and stop it getting more punctures. We'll put the valve back in and give her some air. See if we can see where the hole is. There's 1, 2, I think this is a new inner tube as well. 3, 4 patches, a lot of them in the same place by the valve. So odds are that the hole will be in here somewhere. I'm going to get some noise now with this little baby compressor clicking in. the hole. Now, first thing to do is to look at the inflated tube to see where any damage might be. Like that, looks a bit dodgy, but it's okay, so I found the hole already. There could be two holes, of course. Now the compressor's stopped. Might be able to hear the air. So that's the first thing you can do, is to listen. If you can't find it, the only other thing you can do is to get a hose and hose it off, and wherever the water goes, you can often see the bubbles coming up. The other alternative is to wedge the whole tube into a water trough like that, and then you can obviously see the air bubbles coming out. Like I say, I did identify the hole straight off the bat somewhere. Oh, it was there, I think, where we've got a bit of damage, just here. Like that. I'm not going to mark it. I'm not going to mark it on the hole, but that's good enough. That'll tell me pretty much where it is when it's deflated. Right, now what I have to do here, wire brush it in several directions just to rough it up a bit, give something for the glue to stick to. So give that a good old rough up. So you'd have a job to see that hole now without those markers on there. Give that a rough up. Then we've got some liquid buffer. And a t-shirt. I've got a lot of that left. That basically, the buffer will clean all the old dirt and grease and dust and shit off of it before applying the glue. The glue, special vulcanising fluid. I haven't got a lot of this left. Just kind of start in the middle. I put a blob where the hole is, and then work my way round. Don't need a lot. Okay. Take the gloves off for this little bit. Here we have a tip-top patch. Now I'm not going to stick that on for a minute. I'm going to wait for that to dry. Not dry completely, but need to wait for it 2, 3, 4 minutes. Okay, that's been about 3 minutes. So I'm just going to peel off the silver backing, being careful not to touch the red with my greasy fingers. Keep grease and oil and dust away from everything. Right, and then whack her on. I'll start from the middle and just work out. And I've got one of these little handy rollers, like a pizza cutter. And you just keep rolling, 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 roll hard. Whip crack away, whip crack away. Oh, it's bank holiday Monday, and it's bloody hot already. I just want to try and get this puncture done on a bank holiday Monday, so I can go out on my bike a bit later, do something a bit more exciting. Anyway, continue with that. Okay, so I've blown it back up with air. There's the patch. Now I'll put it back on here, because obviously I don't want to put the inner tube back in until I've identified why I got a puncture. So I'll put the valve here, opposite the valve hole down here. Okay? So now I know that that was the patch I put on, so the punctures, or the reason it got a puncture, is down in there somewhere. So I'm going to have to do a visual inspection on the outside here somewhere, see if there's any nails or anything in there, on the side as well. Next thing, put my hand inside and just being a little bit careful, because if there is a nail sticking in or a thorn or something, what I'm hoping to do is to feel it with my hand, or any imperfections in the tyre. I can't feel anything. Just got to be a little bit careful, obviously, because if there was a nail in there or a thorn, that's gonna hurt your hand. But I can't feel anything. I think it's just the tyre itself. Being on a front end loader, I'm putting about 40 psi in it, and probably the tyre can't cope with it. This is about the 6th time I've done this inner tube. It's about the 6th time I've had a puncture. Right, so I can't feel anything in there. So the next thing to do is I'm going to put some water all over this inner tube, just to see if I can see anything else. I might have another puncture. Could always have two. I don't want to put the thing back in, put it all back on the tractor and everything, and then come out the next morning and find it's gone down again. So I'm going to run a load of water all over that, and you'll be able to see if any bubbles come up when you pour the water on with a hose. You'll see and you'll hear as well. So I'm going to go and do that. Okay, so we're putting the tube back in. Now put the valve in its hole. Put this little collar on, which is most important, because when you're putting the wheel tyre back onto the rim, you don't want to lose that inner tube out of its hole. So basically stuff all that back in, and then we'll have a quick demonstration on how to put the wheel back on, which is very easy. Okay, we've got the tube back on. Now we've just got to get the tyre back out onto the rim. Now always finish at the valve, because the tube is going to be here somewhere. So if you start with it on the tube, when you get to this end, this piece of tyre will be squeezing on that tube, and you're probably more than likely going to get another puncture. So off at the valve first, on at the valve last. So see how we get on. Be a lot of huffing and puffing, no doubt. Right, so what I'm doing here, I'm standing on here and I'm going to try and hit it here with the hammer, and slowly it'll work its way around to the middle. I've got to keep this down because we've got to keep this underneath this lip of the metal here, and that gives you sort of maximum flexibility and movement. So if I stand here with a bit of weight and then hit that, it'll just go on little by little by little, come over to the other side and do the same. Press on there and then just give it a tap. Getting them on is a lot easier than getting them off. That was easy. What I've got to do now, get a bit of fairy liquid, washing up liquid, put it all the way around, do the same on the other side before I blow it up, then hopefully the tyre will pop out. And there we have it. Fairy liquid. Other washing liquids are available. Well, here we go. There we are, all lubed up, just how we like it. Okay, so I'm going to put some air in. I think I've had 40 psi in here. I'm going to knock it down to 30 now. Okay, I'm up to about 20 psi now. As you can see, it's pushed up against the rim here. I'm not going to put my arm down there. As you can see, it's not pushed up down the bottom down there. Now I can go up to 30 psi quite happily, and that should push out. The other side's pushed out. That's all done okay, thanks to fairy liquid. I remember one time I was doing a tyre with my dad many years ago in his workshop at the farm, at the other farm, and we were blowing up this big old rear tractor tyre, and we were waiting for this bead to pop, because sometimes they go with a pop, a hell of a bang sometimes, makes you really jump. We were both, the wheel was laying down on the ground, we were both hitting it with a hammer and trying to get it to sort of jolt into place. Anyway, we were both looking down at it and it went bang and the bead popped out and sprayed both of our eyes with fairy liquid, and it was a hell of a shock. So you live and learn. Probably best to use goggles or eye protection when doing this.